your dad is basically, he's the one who started your son up in playing baseball. So
Well, yeah, I mean, he bought him like his first, because my son always, as a small kid, demonstrated the ability to be a great catcher. He could catch anything, like he could just catch. And so my dad actually bought him some catching equipment, because my dad played baseball. He coached Little League. His father played in the old Negro League. So it runs in our family, I guess.
Okay.
On the inside. Yeah.
So that's how you got introduced to the game through your dad. And
because I didn't do anything with baseball prior to.
Okay.
Not baseball. Yeah.
So it was dad. But then did you take over from dad? Or
I took over.
Okay.
So my dad coached him. He was his first coach, actually. Until he could really no longer coach him, due to health issues. So, I kind of took over at that point. But I mean, he's always been immersed in various programs and, that has had, good coaching. And I learned a lot from the coaches, and I learned a lot from my dad as well, just watching. And plus I played tennis, so it all translates. So I had the ability to do what I needed to do as well in terms of, coaching him.
Okay, yeah. So that's what I was saying, because that day I saw you at the park, you're hitting what they call fungos to your son.
Right.
Where did you learn that? That's like, because most women, I'm not trying to be a chauvinist or anything like that, but most women, they don't really, baseball, of all the major sports, baseball is way off the mark for most women. But I see that you saying your background, your dad, his dad, your great grandfather, they played in the Negro League. So you have a history, you have a background, even though you didn't too much play it. But you were saying you also were a tennis player, and then you played tennis, and then because you out there, you're hitting fungos, and you took over for dad. What age did you take over for dad? Like, for your dad, or in this case, granddad?
What age? What was my son when I took over?
Yeah.
About 10.
About 10. Okay, so you're looking at roughly about 2 years. How old is your son? Okay, 2 years. So so here's the thing I'm always most interested. Baseball costs a lot of money to play.
Who you telling?
It's cost a lot of money.
I bought a $300 glove today.
That's what I'm saying. As a parent, a single parent, $300 glove as opposed to a $50 basketball. Have you ever said, why don't you want to play basketball or something like that? Or it's just like, okay, you see your son loves the game, and it's just like, okay, forget it, I'll just sacrifice?
Well, listen, honestly, this kid is so passionate about the game. When he first started playing, he said to me when he was, I think, like 7 or 8, like, this is what I want to do. I want to play pro ball. And when he said that, no matter what my situation was financially, I was going to do what I needed to do to make sure he had what he needed to have. And he is a catcher. So it is, outside of the outfield, he plays a little outfield too. He plays a little infield. He's a utility player, but his primary position is catcher. So I've had to buy all the mitts, catching gear, and don't get it twisted. Like, I've had the support of my parents, as well, because it is very expensive. But his interest is not any other sport. His interest is solely baseball, and it is expensive, but I'm just hoping that it will pay off.
Okay.
That's all I could do.
And I was just recently at JRW at their park. At the park, I think it was Wednesday. I was just over there Wednesday, and they was telling me about that cost drives a lot of parents away, because you're talking about the mitts. You're talking about the different type of mitts, catching equipment, bats. And at Little League, it's one thing, and you talk about Ace. That's one thing. Ace provides a lot of that stuff, but you're in the Little Leagues, or Ace.
Oh, okay. Maybe for their older boys, but no, they didn't.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, you saying they didn't? Okay. All right. Well, I was under the impression that they did provide some of that stuff, um, but you, yeah.
No, not the equipment.
Okay. So, but cleats, especially like a 12-year-old boy, they're close. He's close to being a man in shoe size.
Well, he is a man. She's a 9.
Okay. So yeah. So he's
Yeah.
yeah. So
Mhm.
he's those shoes. They're expensive, and then
Absolutely.
and so that costs. I know that's like that's something you like. Okay. All right. I know that you said that you're happy with him playing. He's passionate about the game. Okay, but like a lot of parents, and I spoke with a couple of parents that yeah, they wanted their kids to play another sport, like soccer ball, baseball, because it's not as expensive. And for a single parent, that's something that you probably that's probably something that you probably have thought about. But I was like I said, I was over at the park, and one of the things that was brought up to me by Todd was that it's a lot of single parents out there, and that frustrates him because that game is not being passed. It's not translated from father to son.
Hmm.
Have you ever felt like, I know you had support from your dad. Have you ever felt like you're overwhelmed you're overwhelmed yourself from having to be the sole parent, getting into games, getting into practice, and all that type of stuff?
Absolutely. I mean, even now, um, you know, yeah, it's a lot. It is. It's a lot. And, baseball, you know, seemingly, I thought it was just a spring sport, right? Isn't it a spring sport? No, it's year round. They play fall ball. It's practices and training in the winter, and then they preparing for the spring. Play through the spring. This year they due to COVID or whatever, they had a late start, but you know they were playing in the summer in the heat. So I mean, yeah, and so um it is a lot. It is totally overwhelming. However, it's a sacrifice. That's how I look at it. It's like, this is my kid. If he told me he wanted to be an astronaut or a doctor or a lawyer, I would make sure this is just how I am, make sure he was in whatever program to help prepare him to be that doctor, lawyer, or astronaut. But because he told me he wanted to play baseball, you know, at the highest level possible, okay, I feel like it's my duty and my obligation to him as his mom to help nurture and cultivate and help facilitate that process.
Have you had good luck with the coaches that he's come across, either just JRW or period? Is has anyone deterred you from keeping him on this path, or is just or you've come across some good people that had his best interest at heart?
Um, Actually, both. Um, but the majority of the coaches have been very supportive. I know you mentioned Coach Ty from JRW. I love Coach Ty. He was very supportive and instrumental in his development. Um, Even when he started playing, that transition into the ACE program. And then, when I was moving, he kind of gave me some options, um, because we're in Georgia. So he kind of gave me some options in Georgia. Um, and so, he was very instrumental. The coaches, I mean, he even played with the Tigers. Those coaches were great. DB and Glenn, and I know I'm name dropping, but they were good coaches. Um, there were actually two from the ACE that I did not appreciate. One told me my son wasn't even going to make ACE. Um, and it's crazy because the ironic thing is he ended up making the team and he ended up being his coach. So he didn't really he didn't mesh well with my son, at all. Because he already kind of had this negative perception of him prior to him even making the team. But the majority, I mean, but a lot of the other coaches like Dave Reed, it was great. He was, a great coach, back catching, because my son's a back catcher. So he really learned a lot from Coach Dave. Yeah. So, I mean, he's and where we are now, he has great coaches. I am blessed, and we just got here, but they really took him in like he is a part of the family. And I'm just excited to see where he's gonna go from here.
Okay, we'll see. Pretty much I don't have to say anything else. You pretty much answered it. Like,
I think it needs to be more Black boys playing baseball. Because these white kids, they dominating, and the Hispanic kids, they are really dominating, especially, and I see that on a broader scale being now in Georgia. But I would definitely encourage them to and try to find or raise the money, because I mean they have fundraisers and all kinds of stuff that they do for kids, because it is pricey. But then you don't know really what somebody got in their pocketbook. They may be well off, so they may not need any assistance. But if they do, there are ways that I'm sure they could, get whatever it is they need to get.
Okay. Like I said, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you. My project will be finished probably like the end of September.
Okay, cool.
I'm still in the process of compiling interviews at the moment. And
Okay.
the reason why is because a lot of people I come with the interview, I come with that microphone. A lot of people like, I don't want to talk.
Yeah.
It's I guess they look at me as being scary about the microphone when I have the microphone in my hand. So
Okay.
so yeah, that's I don't know why, but I'm trying. But my thing is that in Chicago, at least, there is a healthy community, and you have tons of support. So it's not so much Chicago. It's more, I think, what the cutoff is that in college, what I've seen in a lot of colleges, they are predominantly white, predominantly Hispanic, especially in the HBCUs. They're predominantly white, predominantly Hispanic, and that's where the glass ceiling appears. Go and take a look at HBCU. They look at their teams. They're go and look at their athletic teams. They are predominantly white and predominantly Hispanic. I didn't think it would be, but it was. It is in most cases. So it's not that the baseball players aren't out there. It's just the game is just, I guess, it's contained. It's not growing as fast as people will say it is. But like I say to you before, I do appreciate you taking the time. And you were awesome.